That
Right.
one call can save somebody's life. Your 2 words, that don't worry, I'm with you,
Right.
can make a difference to a person. करना तो बहुत कुछ था, लेकिन कर नहीं पाया. So there should not be regrets and guilt.
I think that is something we need to change.
Yes,
You know,
very
overall
much.
as a society.
Very
it
much.
is-
See, the heart attack rates in men are higher than women.
Hi, and welcome to the MOOC series. This is where we celebrate high achievers, the path breakers of Goa. And today we have with us a psychologist, a transformational speaker from Goa, Ketaki. Ketaki, welcome to the MOOC series.
Thank you so much, Suraj.
Ketaki, I wanted to keep this very light and probably, easy going. But the questions that I have with me are pretty serious. And I'm sure this episode is definitely going to help a lot of people, the information that we're going to pass on, because we live in a very stressful world these days.
True.
And everybody is going through something or the other.
Correct.
And there is one term that comes to my mind, and we very commonly hear about this term, depression.
Yes.
Tell us a little more about this. What is depression, and how do we know that somebody who's close to us, is actually going through it?
I would say it's very commonly used today. So if you see everybody who's even sad, they'll say I'm depressed. So that's a major concern, because there's a wide difference between sadness and depression.
Right.
So sadness is a short duration thing that happens to you, and then you're back to normal. But depression is a mental condition. Let me be very clear on that. That it prolongs for quite a long time. So once a person suddenly is not talking too much, he's not going out, he's being isolating himself, locking himself in room, or even if he's involved with people but he's not active as he was before. So his close people in his own areas, in his family or relatives may see the difference. So if he used to enjoy doing something, maybe even cooking, and now is not interested in it, he often talks about suicidal ideations, talks about feeling low, so low self-esteem kind of a thing.
Right.
And if it is going for quite a long time, maybe 2 months, 3 months, then it's a sign that he's going in depression.
So when you're talking about the a long-term depression, to what extent can that go? You just mentioned 2 months. Can it be like prolonged
Yes.
kind of depression?
Because there's mild, there is severe depression.
Right.
Okay, a mild depression can be, you can go to a mental health consultant like a psychologist or a psychiatrist, and you can, at a therapeutic level, you can deal with it. But if it prolongs, maybe more than 6 months, and then normally what people do is just to come out of it, they use addiction as a way to, not to feel depressed. But then it starts more deteriorating, and it's dangerous. That's where then it's an alarming stage for all of us to help him to come out of depression by taking him to a psychiatrist. Then only therapy will not help. It's like a medical condition, so you need medicine and you need also therapeutic ways to deal with depression. Now, as we see in Munna by MBBS,
Right.
chemical locha that happens.
Right.
So to stabilize that chemical locha, because they don't do it purposely.
Right.
So if a friend just comes and tells kya bhai kyun tension le raha hai, sab ho jayega theek. So for me it will be casual thing, but for him it is. It can be smallest thing like a breakup, or it can be smallest thing like losing a job. So every person at psychological level is different.
Yeah, probably what is small for you may not be small for me.
Absolutely.
It could be very severe to
Absolutely.
me. So tell me one thing. What is the way of dealing with? Are there any medicines that we talk about, or how do you deal with how an individual, a person can deal or handle this depression?
Yes. So firstly, at an individual level, suppose if I'm suffering from depression, I should accept that I need help. A lot of times we have seen among people that we do not seek help.
So in our society it's a taboo. बोलते हैं यार, especially with men,
True.
क्या कर रहा है यार, मतलब इतना दुखी क्यों, यही तो हुआ ना, क्या फर्क पड़ता है, like move on or do this or do that.
Correct.
Right, that is.
Yes, as you rightly said, it's easy for them to say move on. Like even I am in Women Commission of Goa. So when women come with domestic violence cases or abuse cases, and we advise them to just move on. But for that woman, it's difficult to move on. At that particular phase, that person can't move on because the body and mind is not supporting. So it's easy for a non-person to say just move on. But a person who's going through it, it's difficult. So at that phase, the person needs to understand that he needs to talk to somebody. And as you said rightly, mental health taboo, it's still there, still people hesitate to go and talk to a person because anybody and everybody can go through this phase. It's okay, like being a mental health expert, I also tell people that once in a year, even I go to my gurus and my psychologist who taught me that bhai, life mein sab theek chal raha hai, theek kar rahi hu na nahi kar rahi hu, मला गरज आहे कुणाकडे जायची आणि विचारायची बाबा माझे थॉट्स व्यवस्थित आहेत ना, because it's all about cognitive distortions,
बरोबर.
So if there's a distortion in your thinking pattern, then you'll feel my life is mess. If your thinking patterns are right, if you're working in a right angle, my thoughts are good, I'm going in a great way. So even if there is a challenging thing that comes in front of me, I have accepted well. It's all in your thoughts.
Do you think there is a different coping mechanism when it comes to men in depression and women in depression, or it really doesn't matter, what sex do you belong to? It could be same or it is different.
In some research, if you see studies, it's been proved that men do handle such things differently and women do take it differently. Let me be very frank with you. Like women's psychology goes this way. Women are more emotional. So when you talk to them, they'll talk about their problem and they want to cry about it or they want to vent it out that this happened, that happened. That's why you will see that they talk more into terms of a detailed thing of what happened. Usne aisa kiya, usne aisa bola. Kind of a thing.
Right.
They more want to work at emotional level. Whereas men are more problem focused.
Right.
This is the problem and that's what they want to come to the solution of it.
Right.
So even the therapeutic way when we deal with our clients, it's different for men and women. It depends on the mental health condition they are at currently and how are they thinking. So women, we can't come straight to a conclusion, bhai ye problem hai, ye solution hai. Women will be like, she didn't even listen to me. So she wants to talk about it.
Right.
So when she talks and then once she is like calm and then we come to the therapeutic part of making her understand, bhai abhi kya change karna hai. But for men, it will be like just few things about emotion and then they'll come to the problem and then talk about the solution to it.
See, now when we're talking about treating depression, or severe depression they're talking about clinically.
Yes.
Okay. And we still talk about it's being a taboo in our society, mental health,
Yes.
talks. Now tell me one thing, how expensive is this whole process? Because again, somebody coming from a lower society, depression to किसी को भी हो सकता है. It could be any situation that you're into, and you can actually be depressed. But it's like probably treating, if I have a heart issue and coming from probably a poor family, I may not really be able to afford a great treatment, a great hospital.
Sure.
So how is it compared to the treatment when it comes to depression? How expensive is it in our country?
Yes, a therapeutic thing is a little expensive because it depends on whom are you going to. Like a fresher will charge a different way and an experienced person will charge. But again, the state in Goa right now is we do have facilities even in government hospitals. We do have counselors, we do have psychiatrists, where you can, if you can't afford a therapy from a private consultant, then you can straight go. There's something called as Telemanas, which has come in Goa, which is an...
Sorry, can you say it again?
Telemanas.
Telemanas.
Yes, so if you Google it, you will get a helpline number. It's a counseling phone service on phone.
Okay.
So you just Google and get the number, you call them and they'll counsel you depending on your situation. So it's like you don't have to physically go and talk to them. So there is Telemanas, there are psychiatrists, there's IPHP, which is an Institute of Psychiatry and Human Behavior, which is in Bambolim. There are services there. Then there are mental health hospitals, and also in all district hospitals like North and South, there are counselors. So we do have services where government have kept resources where you can go and approach if you can't afford a private consultant.
How life-threatening is this? So when we're talking about, say, 10 or people out of 10, how many people really lose their life to this? Or in your study or in your experience of all these years, how many cases have you come across?
Yes, I would say out of 10, maybe more than 50%.
Is it?
Yes.
Is that serious?
Yes, and luckily if they are able to approach at the right time, because I've experienced this in my profession by practicing for the last 15 years, that when they were peak and they wanted to commit suicide, and if at that particular point of time they could approach somebody and talk about it, life has changed. So it's all about emotional support that they require at that particular minute, because sometimes it's not just depression, but people get depression and anxiety, depression and panic attacks, So it can be multiple things happening to them. So if they get the proper support from the people, that's why I keep on promoting and saying, talk about your emotions. When it is even at a minor level.
Right.
Please go to somebody or even your friends. So that's why today, communication is the key, I would say. We are so busy in our world. Me being in this profession, even if I miss a call because of my busy schedule, I see to it that I call back, because you never know that one call can save somebody's life. Your 2 words, that don't worry, I'm with you, can make a difference to a person.
In fact, this has actually happened to me during COVID. There's a friend of mine who called and we were speaking, and he was a very fun-loving guy, and one fine day he just calls me and says that, यार कुछ करने का मन नहीं कर रहा है मेरा, already in that, I mean तब तो मुझे इतना पता नहीं था कि I didn't have the study of it, but I could sense that there is something wrong.
True.
And I still remember I spoke to him for a while, and he met me after 2 years. Okay, the guy from Goa itself, and suddenly I bumped into him after 2 years, and he told me that that call that we had really helped. And I can connect to what you're saying, on this point right now.
Me being on a social platform as well, when a woman calls me and she is in a violent situation, there's a violence going on, and there's no support for her. One call, even if I don't know her, and she says, "Ma'am, I need your help." My 2 words gives her so much of courage. Because she's somebody's mother, she wants to commit suicide because she wants to end her life. She can't take call on the situations that is going on. She's working under societal pressure that bhai manage karna hai, saho, or there'll be a child at home waiting for you.
Correct.
In that situation, she don't know what to do. So a small 2 words of encouragement ki bhai aage badho, I'm with you, whatever phase you're going in right now. Now first, let me be clear at this stage that if you're feeling sad, let us accept it.
Correct.
All the time I can't be happy. You have to accept that I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm upset. Be clear about your emotions.
Yes.
I always promote emotional intelligence. Today's need of the hour.
Correct.
More than normal IQ, I would say EQ. That's very important.
And I think in today's society specifically, it's very important to actually live your emotions, express your emotions. And again, I would probably come back to the same point, considering how we have actually been raised. For a man also to cry, it is still a taboo. But I think currently we are still talking about a lot of issues that even men face and how they should deal with, the mental health. Crying, it could be a great option to begin with.
Yes.
Letting it go.
Yes. In fact, from last year, I'm promoting men should cry.
Men should cry.
Why? When I take sessions, I do ask women, when did you cry last? So she will say I just cried 2 days back. And if I ask a man, when did you cry? He said, maybe last year when my father expired. So, men, it's big, simple example, when there's a boy and a girl. A girl falls down and, she cries. So we pacify her. But if a boy falls down, everybody will bhai, but ladki ki tarah ro kyun raha hai? The first response.
I think that is something we need to change.
Yes.
Overall
much.
As a society.
Very much. Because it's burdening for a man ki man has a baggage.
Right.
Ki you have to be all the time showing that you're a man. Come on, tu ro kaise sakta hai?
Right.
So tu mard hai. Recently there was a nice show which was talking about Mardani, the certificate.
Yes.
It was saying how men are being tabooed with, typically shown in our culture ki bhai men has to be strong till they are into the grave. They has to pretend that they can manage everything. But no, men are men. They are human beings. If I pinch you, it will pain you, it will pain me.
Correct.
So it's all about emotions, and if openly talk on the table. Like if a woman sits and talks on the table, she'll talk about kal kya hua, parso kya hua, ye dukh raha hai, wo dukh raha hai. Whereas men will talk about politics, car and other stuff, but they'll never talk about emotions. Because the major concern I've seen when men come for counseling, one-to-one, they tell me, no ma'am, I worry of being judged.
I mean, you look weak when you talk about emotions. When you feel like you're sad, you technically make you look weak. That is the fear that we all have.
And when men sit and talk, and if they talk about emotion, and if they feel like crying, they'll be like, "Bhai, ek le le, bas ho jayega, bhul jayega sab kuch."
That is a very common practice we all go through.
So, yes, but the thing is, it's still there in you.
Right.
You're suppressing it.
Yeah, you're suppressing it.
Yes. So,
you're numbing yourself.
Absolutely, and that's why if you see the heart attack rates in men are higher than women.
Yeah, because you numb your emotions.
And it is reacting on your body. That's called as psychosomatic. That's how it goes. So it's simple that from a childhood, now if you want to change future generations, we have to teach our boys as well as girls, talk about your emotions.
You can cry.
Yes. You cry, you vent it out, and next minute you have to be fine.
Right.
Then only you will be like, hota hai. I also go through. So if I feel low, I go home, just sit with myself and cry or do some things, and I feel okay. Next minute I'm back. So it's okay.
I think, there is a limit to even being strong or even pretending to be strong,
Yes.
most of the time. Sometimes you should just let go of it.
Correct. So true. Like yesterday I got a call from my friend. She's a single mother. She lost her husband when her sons were very small.
Right.
So just yesterday something happened and she couldn't feel like going for work, and she was all the time sleeping at home. So she gave me a call in the evening. She said, Ketaki, यार भाई आज पूरा दिन सिर्फ सोई मैं, कुछ नहीं किया, मुझे बहुत गिल्ट फीलिंग हो रहा है. How can I do that? I said, it's okay. Once in a while, तुम 24 घंटे भागा दौड़ करती हो. You're a mother, you're an employee, you're working, handling so many things all this year. So भाई महीने में एक बार अगर ऐसा आलस आ गया और सो लिया, अच्छा लगा उठ के शाम को, नहीं बॉडी तो माइंड फ्रेश फील कर रहा है. So guilt निकाल दे. Because sometimes you have to accept कि कुछ ना करके भी बहुत कुछ कर रहे हो आप अपने माइंड के लिए.
I think there's another problem that we have. I believe that हमें कुछ ना कुछ करना है. We have to keep doing something. That's the kind of thing. अपने rest कर ले तो we feel that guilt.
Correct.
That guilt.
Correct.
Okay. Now coming back to another thing. This is a very common word, especially with social media. We keep hearing and keep watching about it. There's a term called narcissist.
Oh yes.
Okay. Tell us, what is this narcissism and being narcissist, and where does that come from? How do you become a narcissist? Or is it like somebody's born with it?
Okay. Narcissism, if you see in a psychological thing, it's a disorder.
Okay.
Narcissistic personality disorder. So we have borderline personality disorder and narcissistic personality disorder. So it's a personality disorder which a person is born with. So it can be, sometimes there's not fixed thing that it can be genetic or it can be through environment. Okay. So as he ages, then you can see. Now narcissistic means basically he is not bothered about anybody else's emotions other than him. So he's a very self-centered person. And research has proven that narcissism is more prevalent in men compared to women.
Okay.
That's how studies have been shown. But narcissism is basically where they just think about, they are very less in empathy. Okay, they will not think about you. They right now, if I feel good, I'll be good to you. And if I feel bad, I'll be very bad to you. So they are really totally not bothered about what you are going through. So they'll be very controlling. Okay, they'll be very sometimes aggressive or dominant. And the whole center for them is self-love.
So do you think, anything that actually leads to that? Maybe could be like maybe childhood traumas, or could be any other thing that actually leads to this, or it is just people are born with it?
No, sometimes it's like, as I said, genetic. So if there is a past history of mental disorder or something that can be there, but sometimes you've seen it's because of the childhood trauma.
Right.
So what they have been through when they were young and how it affected. And as I said, everybody's level is different to take. So one person might take it very sensitively, another person will not. So if he has not worked in the right way and seeked help, narcissism can grow. And narcissistic people can be dangerous to their family a lot. Maybe to their spouse, to their own family members, and even to their child. So it's difficult to treat narcissism completely.
Okay.
Yes, then there is a therapy process, of course, for narcissism, and there are medicines as well, but seems difficult.
Nowadays, if you look at, we've come across people have very less patience. A lot of people avoid difficult conversations. No matter, it might just actually help you out. People want to brush everything under the carpet.
Correct.
We come across a lot of people around us in our family, in our relationships. It's very difficult for people to have that conversation, though it might lead to a deeper understanding of the problems or probably even finding a solution. People run away from it.
Yes, true.
Why is that happening specifically nowadays? If you look at the older days, I think maybe let's consider fathers and grandfathers, they would really talk about these issues. But now it's not that. People have lost their patience level. Why is it? What has changed over a period of time, you think?
I think I would say one of the reasons is social media.
Okay.
Because if you see, social media is where people want to say everything's perfect. Okay, and they want to pretend and show as if everything is going right and everything is perfect in their life. In reality, it cannot be. So they don't want to discuss about their issues, their problems, or maybe even what weaknesses do they have. So if there is a sensitive topic or something they should talk about, they will hide it because they just want to pretend कि भाई सब कुछ ठीक चल रहा है. But if you talk at an individual level, all of us will have something or the other that they be able to talk about. But we are not open about it, and we are completely hiding it again and again just to pretend that मुझ में सब सही है या मेरे घर पे सब सही है. ऐसा नहीं है. When you everybody understands ये problem है, ये thought processes है, यहाँ पे कुछ हो सकता है. So if we are open to discussions. Now what I do normally is I have my own NGO, and whenever I go for any discussions, I keep different topics on the table so that you talk about it. Like when I speak to women, I talk about postpartum depression, which is very sensitive. A lot of women go through it, but nobody talks about it. My own friends have been through it, but then they realize after talking to me, भाई केतकी ये postpartum था, मुझे लग रहा था मुझे ही कुछ गलत हो गया है. I said no, even I have been through that phase. Menopause is a very serious topic among women today. Okay, because of hormonal changes, what happens to a woman? You know, she feels like she has lost her identity after everything. Everybody is settled in their life and she is doing nothing. So it's a phase. Even men go through hormonal changes, but do we talk about it? People feel only women go through hormonal changes, but that's not there. There are men who go through hormonal changes as well, but men don't openly talk about it. Kyun? Again, a taboo.
The question is also whether even men even realize that what is happening actually. You know, there is a term we still talk about. That's the only term I remember when it comes to men is the midlife crisis.
Correct.
What is that? We've heard it like soft in that. What is midlife crisis?
Midlife crisis is a point where the things the way it wanted to go, it didn't go. Okay, and now you feel burdened. भाई आधी तो life चली गई है, थोड़ी सी बाकी है, और मुझे इतना कुछ करना है. So it's like, we feel stuck, fixated, and then it troubles you, it bothers you. So that's the midlife crisis that happens at that point of time. But reality, if you see life, at every phase there are different challenges.
Something or the other, correct.
Now, when I interact with old people, we as youngsters will feel, भाई 70 साल के बाद क्या टेंशन है इन लोगों को, अभी जाने का तो है.
Correct.
लेकिन उन लोगों को other forms of anxiety होते हैं.
Right.
When I interact with geriatric patients, right, they have their other issues because when they look back at the 70 years, भाई मैंने सब कुछ किया, मेरे लिए कुछ नहीं किया.
Correct.
But they want to do, but at this age they can't.
Right.
So there are a lot of things. Now I am doing with my students another project where I'm talking about anxiety at primary level students. It's very common. I'm getting so many cases in my clinic where a child suddenly stops going to school without any reason.
I think we are all living under a tremendous pressure, and we are pressurizing even our kids today. Ki even the performance pressure. Yaar uska beta dekho, and what that is happening. I think that's something we really need to understand. That at the end of it, jo hona hai wo anyways hoga.
Correct.
Pressurizing is not really going to help. Maybe you can channelize it. This is the kind of education that I think every parent should be put through even before having a child.
Correct.
Or immediately after having a child. That should be a practice in the country, I believe now.
Correct.
You know,
because again, our youngsters are getting exposure to social media and the info that is not needed.
Way too much.
Yes. So for us, we had a lovely childhood without a gadget, and we were really lucky people.
We were innocent.
Now today's youngsters, my daughter is in 3rd standard, 8 years old. The exposure that they're getting at such a young age is actually for their body and mind, it's dangerous. So by the time they reach our age, where they will be. So as a parent, it is my duty that I talk about it, I be open to her and make her understand, because earlier parenting styles were different. You know, even in Marathi, there was a saying in like chadi vaje cham cham vidya yehi gam gam. The concept is no more today. There is no chadi.
So because I think even kids have become very sensitive nowadays. पहले तो क्या था यार, मार पड़ी तो भाई ठीक है चल पढ़ाई कर लेते हैं, Now you hit, they actually go into their cocoon. They'll go into their shell.
Yes.
And we've noticed it. I mean, that has been a drastic change over a period of time. I don't know how that has happened. What has led to it, but we see it, we witness it.
Yes. And the reality is, we as adults have to accept that if we want to change the future generation, I always believe this, that we have to start the change from our own self.
Correct. Very true.
If I do some positive things for myself, that is seen by my daughter. So if I do meditation, I am able to balance, like in a problematic situation, how am I reacting? So if I tell her, it will not go to her. But if I do it in front of her, she'll be in a more better capacity to understand, भाई मम्मा ने ऐसा किया, अभी मुझे भी ऐसा करना है. So if I want to change them, let's start it from us.
Correct. Now coming back to some positive changes, would you like to probably share some great tips to keep your mental health in check, in a good condition? Probably you can share some tips that can be done on a regular basis, for people.
I would start off being a psychologist. We are always told to be aware about your body and your mind, because body is connected to mind. So when you talk about psychology, psychology is not about mind reading,
Right.
People get scared, oh, you're a psychologist, tell me what's going on in my mind. basically we observe you.
Right.
We are good observers.
Right.
So right now if you're sitting like this, then what does that mean? So if
Correct.
I'm biting my nails, what does that mean?
Right.
So your body tells me what is going on in your mind.
Correct.
So your behavior, your attitude, this makes you. So if I want to change at my level, I should be regularly aware about my body and mind. That means if something is bothering me, it will show on my body. So if there is a constant headache and I go to every doctor and doctor says, "Bhai, kuch nahi hai, stress le raha hai." Sit with yourself and ask what is the stress all about. Okay, then try working on it. Where is the emotion? What kind of emotion? So if you Google, you'll get an emotional wheel, which talks about, say, if I ask you one question, like, what are you feeling right now? Give me a feeling word. Can you answer that?
Ask me.
Yes. What are you feeling right now at this moment?
Peace.
Okay, great. So that's what we have to do after every half an hour.
Okay.
That you have to become aware कि मुझ में क्या हो रहा है. अगर गुस्सा है, गुस्सा आ रहा है, किस बात पे आ रहा है? That's the next step. और क्यों आ रहा है? Then what can be done? If I'm not aware, how will I be able to deal with it? That is the first thing. The second thing that is there is mindfulness. Now, mindfulness talks about living in the moment.
Okay.
You see, human nature, we always worry about future
or we talk about the past.
About the past. कल क्या हुआ, परसों क्या हुआ, उसने ऐसा किया, उसने वैसा किया. And in that bargain, we forget to live at this moment. So mindfulness talks about living in the moment. So I'll give you simple tips how to do it.
Yes, please.
Set 3-4 alarms on your phones.
Okay.
Okay, and like that alarm should be like for morning one, afternoon one, evening one maybe. And when the alarm rings, whatever you are doing, just pause for a few seconds and reflect what is happening with your body and what is happening with your mind.
Okay.
आप बैठे हो, पैर कैसे हैं, हाथ कैसे हैं, आपका बॉडी कैसा है, उस टाइम पे थॉट्स क्या चल रहे हैं और इमोशंस क्या है. That's it. Just become aware. As you go ahead, slowly you will start being mindful in every situation. So there's a way like mindful eating. आजकल लोग मोबाइल देखे बिना खाते नहीं हैं. So mindful eating means focusing on the food and eating and understanding that every bite that goes into your body. There's mindful walk. So there are a lot of things if you give time. But इसके लिए सब के लिए एक चीज करनी चाहिए. That is time. The moment you start giving yourself time, people say, "Ma'am, I'm busy. I can't give myself time." You can't give time. You have to find out time. Remove time for yourself. Then only you'll be able to do it. So just एक 15 minutes निकाल दीजिए अपने खुद के लिए. बैठिए, introspection कीजिए, लिखिए. Writing on the book.
Journaling
is very, very important.
Journaling.
I have tried and tested, and I'm telling you, it works wonders.
So it's basically you're just getting all your emotions out on a piece of paper, and you're okay.
Suppose it is negative, and you're worried that somebody might read it. Just write it down, vent it out, tear the paper or burn the paper and throw it in the bin. That's it. If you feel like somebody can read it and know your personal state, that's fine. But vent it out. And if it is too much, please go to a therapist. It can be anybody, so that you feel नहीं भाई बस हो गया, अभी ज़्यादा हो रहा है, burnout हो रहा है, and I need to talk to somebody who's a professional. Now, why to a professional? Because we are non-judgmental. Friend के साथ बात करोगे, भाई तू तेरी गलती है, तूने ऐसा किया इसलिए तू आज भुगत रहा है. So a kind of judgmental approach which doesn't come in a therapeutic thing, and it's confidential. That's the second part. Even if tomorrow somebody comes to me, nobody knows who comes to me for counseling in my clinic.
Right.
So there's a confidentiality there.
So there's one that talk about set alarms 3 times a day.
Yes.
Then you talk about journaling.
Yes.
What is the last step? Probably third step you would.
I would say if you are meditating,
right,
that's the best way. Now the mantra why people today in Western culture are adopting pranayama and yoga. Now simple. When you're stressed, there is a hormone that gets released. That is cortisol. Cortisol gives you all other health disorders. Okay. Now, when are you doing meditation or pranayam? There is a deep breathing technique that comes. Now, deep breathing, produces more oxygen in your body, and automatically cortisol level goes down. And then slowly there are 4 chemicals which in our body which are happy hormones. This is called as DOSE. Simple to remember: dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphin. These are 3 beautiful hormones. So like for example, we had a lovely conversation. Again, hormones release are already done. I like to play with my pet. I play with my pet for 5 minutes. Release of hormone. Oxytocin is a love hormone. Dopamine is a motivational hormone. So when we do small activities in a day, which I used to do before, and I love doing it. Like for example, cooking is my stress reliever. I do cooking. Again, hormone release. Meditation, hormone release. Because if you see your schedule from morning till night, you're in a stressful zone all
Correct.
the time. So positive hormone कहाँ release हो रहे हैं? इसके लिए खुद पे ध्यान दीजिए. Sit with yourself.
I think it is more important to be self-aware nowadays.
Yes, very much, very much. Because then after that comes a phase. मैं हमेशा बोलती हूँ, after 60 will come a phase when you will sit on your couch and think about your flashback.
Right.
And then see, भाई करना तो बहुत कुछ था, लेकिन कर नहीं पाया. So there should not be regrets and guilts that ये नहीं हो पाया, वो नहीं हो पाया.
Right.
So if you're enjoying the journey, enjoy every bit of it in whatever way you can. And if you feel low, no problem. We all are human beings. We are not God. So it's okay if you feel low at that point of time.
True.
Feel that you're feeling low, accept it, and then move on.
Right. Coming to a last question, actually, lately we see a lot of divorces. We see a lot of breakups. Like drop of a hat, you talk to a friend, is like "Kal mile the," whatever time, and it's like no more together.
True.
So even in relationships, people have gone very intolerant.
Correct.
People have no patience to deal with each other. एक time ऐसा होता था कि a lot of people, I wouldn't say everybody, but there is a majority probably is going through it, but there are a lot of people who try and understand, and maybe these people are really evolved and know exactly what triggers are, what emotional balancing is. So what tip would you give to couples who are actually going through conflicts nowadays, or probably on the verge of breakup? What are those few things that you need to do in a relationship to hold it together, and if you're looking at something which is long term?
Sure.
So what would you say? What would you like to say?
You rightly said, thing is like emotional stability. That is the most important thing that comes in a relationship. Right. As in, like if you see our older generations, they also have their difference of opinions,
correct,
arguments. Like my parents have been into almost 43 years of marriage.
Right.
Still date, there is a Tom and Jerry fight going on, but end of the day, they are still concerned about themselves.
Right.
They're still thinking about भाई इसको comfort होना चाहिए या वो प्यार है. एक प्यार अलग चीज का है. It's not about physical attraction anymore.
Correct.
The problem is because of the things outside. कि अगर आज तू नहीं तो और सही.
Correct.
ये जो चल रहा है ना. हाँ, और हर किसी को मैं हमेशा मेरे स्पीचेस में बोलती हूँ, हर किसी को लग रहा है कि मैं शाहरुख खान हूँ या मैं कैटरीना कैफ हूँ, मुझे बहुत मिलेंगे. So ये जो mindset हो रही है लोगों की, that is where it is bothering. That they're just thinking of the present moment. They're not thinking of the future.
Sure.
And when you're in a marriage, it's a long-term commitment, that we need to do, and we have a family. So we are not just affecting one generation; it is getting affected to the future generations as well. So relationship, if you want to work as a couple, I would say both need to sit together and without being judgmental, talk about what is bothering you. There has to be healthy communication. That is one. Now, what is happening? The scene in houses, the husband comes from work, the wife comes from work, and this is the reality which I see in couple counseling. Is the husband takes his phone, sits at the edge of the one bed, and another one is at the other edge, and there's no communication happening. So if I'm chatting with somebody and smiling, then my spouse thinks, oh, she's enjoying with somebody else and she is no more interested, because there's no healthy communication happening there. So there has to be transparency, respect. That is the most important thing. What is happening today is women also are getting independent and they feel they deserve respect. So it's all about give and take relationship. That has to be. So if I'm going outside and I'm coming back home, I should not carry my baggages of outside and come in house. Yeah,
but what is also happening is, I think we also talk about a term called you're being controlling.
Yes.
See, sometimes I think earlier it was not that. I mean, probably my father would ask my mom, okay, where are you going and what time will you be back?
Correct.
It was never taken as controlling.
True.
It was like, Acha, I'm concerned,
Yes.
and probably in these matters, nowadays it's very different.
Yes.
I think that is where the times have changed.
I think relationships, even if you take parent-child relationship, today I'm so grown up. So if I'm going somewhere, my father will ask me, today also he asked me, what time are you coming back?
Right.
So I should not get offended by, मैं बड़ी हो गई, मैं अभी माँ हूँ, आप कैसे पूछ रहे हो मुझे?
Correct.
It's not about that. It's all about concern, love that we share, and as a family, what comes, on the plate. So it's all about understanding the roles that we define. Finally, a woman when she comes back home, she is a mother of everybody.
Right.
Husband when he comes back, he's a protector. So these roles are defined. There is masculine, feminine energy that has to get balanced. Yes. I have seen. I'm doing a research and a study on masculine and feminine energy. Now, every human being has this feminine and masculine energy. So in our Indian Hindu culture that we say, Shiv Shakti.
Shiv Shakti.
Everybody has that balance.
Right.
You have masculine and feminine energy, even I have.
Right.
That's why you have emotions as well, and I have some strength.
Correct.
Now, my masculine energy is going up, my aggression level will increase, and then I'll be more dominant. So if my feminine energy is not balanced, masculine energy will come up, and that's where the relationship will get hampered. It's vice versa.
Correct.
So if I, as an individual, am then when part of a family, what I'm doing outside has nothing to do with when I come back home. I'll be surely a person who available for everybody at home. And the differences that we have, if we sit on the table and talk about it like adults,
right?
There's something which we have a transactional analysis theory in psychology, which talks about 3 ego states: parent, child, and adult. So a parent ego state is always a critical one or a nurturing one.
Right.
A child is a rebellious child,
right?
Okay, or a free child, bindas, Ramdas, padiyeli nahi hai kunachi. And the next one is an adult.
Right.
According to that theory, they say that if you are in an adult ego state, it will be healthy. I'll give you a simple example. Suppose now we are husband and wife, and I've cooked something, okay, and I present it to you. Now, if your parent ego state is very strong in you, when you look at it and then you have first bite of it, and you find particular sabji to be salty, and you react. What is this? You don't know to cook. For how long have you been cooking? I don't want to eat this. So that's a critical parent that comes out. Now, even if the wife is critical parent, how shall we react? She will also react in that way. Khane ka to khao, nahi to bahar nahi jao. Right? So the argument will start there.
Yes.
So it goes from adult to adult. So you say, बाकी का खाना बहुत अच्छा बना है, जरा सब्जी में नमक ज्यादा है या कम है. So then she says, अरे यार गड़बड़ी में हो गया, sorry. So वहीं पे वो conversation stop होता है. So ego state का awareness होना चाहिए. Every time I can't be great, every time you can't be great, there has to be a balance. If we start understanding this balance, I think all relationship, even if say friends or colleagues or wherever you go, everything will be balanced.
Right. Perfect. I think that was a great conversation, Ketaki, and great information. Before we say bye from here, we have a token of Moog for you.
Thank you.
And it is going to arrive in few seconds. So, Ketaki, this is a token of Moog from us with a lot of Moog. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Pleasure.
I'll just help you keep it on.
Yes, thank you.
Well, that was Ketaki Parob, and I think there was a great information on mental health. Ketaki, once again, thank you so much. And we will see you all in the next episode with somebody as amazing as Ketaki. And see you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Pleasure.